Hello, I'm Amara Jones, and today is Tuesday, July 28th. This is Caffeine TV, your daily news brief, here to take you the 3 headline numbers in just 3 minutes, giving you a different take on everything from housing policy to the Real Housewives. The first number up today is 2.5 million, as in 2.5 million Boy Scouts. And yesterday, the storied organization announced a massive change, allowing openly gay men to serve as scout leaders for the first time in its 115-year history. Now, pressure for the change had been building up inside of the organization. There was a split between scout units affiliated with religious organizations and those affiliated with secular ones, and actually the New York City Boy Scouts Association had threatened to sue the rest of the organization for not allowing openly gay men to serve as leaders. And in response, the president of the organization, former Defense Secretary Bob Gates, said last month that he thought if that case went to court that they would lose and that it was time for a change. Now, surprisingly, even though there's an exemption for religious institutions in the new Boy Scout ruling, there's a brewing backlash amongst those religious institutions against the change, and that's being primarily led by the Mormon Church. Now, you might remember that organizations affiliated with the Mormon Church funded the Proposition 8 campaign, which banned gay marriage in California, leading to the landmark Supreme Court case. And in the wake of all of that, Mormons said that they were going to come up off of their anti-gay stances, but I guess the Boy Scouts backlash shows that they haven't gotten around to that just yet. The next number up today is 1993. Now, that's the year in which a book on the divorce of Donald Trump from his first wife, Ivanka Trump, quoted a deposition in which he said that after a painful surgery that he'd had on his scalp to cure baldness at her recommendation, that he came home, grabbed her, pulled her hair out, and raped her. Now, in a subsequent statement, she said that it wasn't rape, but that he, quote, violated her, close quote. Now, this story ran in the Daily Beast yesterday, and in the run-up to the story, the Daily Beast spoke to a lawyer for Donald Trump, Michael Cohen, and the Trump Organization, who threatened the organization if they ran the story, and said that it couldn't have been rape because, quote, you can't rape your spouse, close quote. Now, of course, that's wrong. Rape has been illegal in New York State since the early 1980s and nationwide since the early 1990s. But this isn't the first clash between the Trump Organization and the world on rape and sexual impropriety. Of course, he burst on the political scene earlier this year by saying that Mexican men immigrants to the United States were, quote, rapists, close quote, and said that Hillary Clinton couldn't satisfy her husband. So how was she going to satisfy the United States of America as its president? Well, I guess the only question for Republicans is how long can one of America's leading misogynists top their polls for the presidential nomination? The last number of today is $4 billion, as in $4 billion. That's how much New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and Vice President Joe Biden announced yesterday would be spent on a new LaGuardia Airport in New York City. Now, Andrew Cuomo called the current LaGuardia Airport, quote, a New York, close quote, and Vice President Biden once upon a time called it, quote, third world, close quote. But despite the shading and the reading of LaGuardia, there's actually a serious point here for us all. New York's airspace is the busiest in the country, but LaGuardia constantly ranks at the bottom of airport performance across the United States and is at the bottom of that in terms of on-time performance, and that then causes delays and ripples across airspace in the entire country. And the changes that they propose with this $4 billion new airport are supposed to fix all of that, but the only problem for me is that if those flights actually start taking off on time, that means I'm going to have to get to the airport on time.